So you agree? You think you're really pretty? I'm a mouse. Duh. I think we should all just kill Caesar. She doesn't even go here. It's not my fault you're like obsessed with me or something. Was that any good? It is Mean Girls. And obviously, as we know, the 2024 version of Mean Girls came out, was it this week? This week in the UK. And the one thing I remember when it came out that people were talking about the costuming, people were already angry and mad. And we're like, what the fuck? As soon as I saw the post, the fashion boy, the fashion king, I mean, style boy, literally, had to do a costume analysis of it. This is basically just not only going to be talking about my opinions of the movie, because now I've seen it twice, but also about the costume analysis. And honestly, what I would change, like, I went in, bitches. Also, some disclaimers. Firstly, these are all just my opinion. Yes, like the meme. Please tell me your opinions down below. Secondly, I'm not really here to compare, like, the old to the new. I might mention some changes that are happening, but I'm not here to compare what 2004 Regina George is compared to 2024. So like, I feel like we should begin. Firstly, I feel like we have to first start off with my opinions of the movie. And what did I think of the movie musical? I actually liked it. I thought it was really fun and just camp. It's very gay. It's made for the gays. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun time overall. I love how over the top and theatrical it was, because this movie basically was a combination of the old movie with the musical adaptation, the one that was on Broadway, and then making it more modern. So it's like all three combined together for this, and I thought they did a pretty good job. I feel like they added things that I think made more sense for our generation, e.g. the burn book. Also, spoilers, but instead of Regina George in the old one where she has like the flies and she puts them around and flies them, this one she drops the book and then everyone takes it and films like TikToks of it, and the girls are fighting. It's fucking chaos, it's fucking anarchy, but it works to me. And I will mention some other changes within costumes. I'm like, okay, I think they nailed that. Secondly, Regina George fucking killed it. But she's not my favorite character. We'll get on to her. But Renee Rapp absolutely does so good as a bitch. I was convinced. I was like, oh, she's gonna destroy my life. But she also wants to fuck me. Like, I love that, like, Renee added like a flirty element to it, because to me that's like part Renee. To me, her personality is like cool girl, slick, and then she'll just say something so out of pocket and chaotic. We're just like, where? She is mother for a reason.
This man who owns a bus touring company. His name is Buddy, and he is such an asshole, and he was so disrespectful to my friends Priscilla and Bella, who I work with, and to my mother. If you're watching this, I can't stand you, and I hope your business burns. You are so disrespectful and so misogynistic. I hate you. Come on, Priscilla. I hear Priscilla in the other room. Yeah, fuck you, Buddy.
I think she did so well, and her singing voice, like, her songs were the best. Like, both of her songs are part of my top 3 of the musical. I just thought it was so good, and particularly the Halloween song, like, the way that it was choreographed and done, I was obsessed. Even second time watching, I was like, this is so genius and so smart, because it's like manipulating Aaron. It's basically saying like, I'm in control of the game and you're one of my puppets. So clever. But my favorite character of all is Miss Karen.
Sexy. Like a face breast.
An icon. She put everything into the role and she was so funny. And I think she just really embraced like the ditzy girl thing and just made it so good. And she was just so funny. But not only that, she was gorgeous. Like, and spoiler, the best dress of the musical. Like, I just think whoever did that costuming, chef's kiss. Oh, and then Damien was my third favorite character.
Oh God, woman.
I think, again, comedic timing, so on point. I think he added so much more personality to Damien, not Damon. It's not Vampire Diaries. Instead of being like Janice's little sidekick, had his own thing. And also his voice, you killed it. However, I do have some complaints before we get into costuming. Katie, why? She got on my nerves. I feel like not only was it in terms of like the acting, because to me, the actors who played Katie and Aaron underacted compared to everyone else who added everything on top. I don't know what they did. They acted like they were in like a teen melodramatic series. I'm not here to watch The Summer I Turned Pretty again. And it was so funny because the second time I watched this, I was like, oh my God, they're acting like they're in a different movie. Also, I don't find Aaron cute. They could have got someone better. Second thing, why was she trying to do I'm Not Like Other Girls every fucking 5 seconds over a man? Girl!
I can't believe you're getting so worked up about some guy.
This one is different. He's honest and he's sweet.
Please.
He would never do anything to hurt me.
He's a guy.
Besides,
I don't think this bitch is annoying because her only motive was to get with Aaron, which then made it so much more disappointing because, like, in the original, this is the only comparison I'll do. From my memory, it was to get revenge on Regina. It was actually to make her pay and be a menace. This one was like, oh, I just want Aaron. It's like, girl, get your head out of that boy's ass. It's not even clean like that. But also, her songs are the worst. Every single one of them sounded like a reject from Glee. And apparently, the musical edition, they're like way more fun and better. I'm sorry, you just aren't giving what you need to give. And it's just so disappointing because you have like the other 3 songs which I love, which are Karen's and both are Regina's. And even Revenge Party's up there as well. It's just like campy little fun. And it's like, they're great. And then you just have this Glee ass cover, like Don't Stop Believing. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? That was my one thing, and the second time watching it was even more aggressively apparent, and it was like, oh my god. Yeah, that was my main complaint. Remove them and make them into the campy overdramatic acting. I would have been like, this is 10 out of 10, bitch. But I think they go, ooh. Also, I will say, second time watching it, it does feel slightly rushed. Like, it feels very quick paced, which is fine. I don't mind a movie necessarily with quick pace, but please explain shit to me because some things just were like, how did we get from here to here? Like, I felt like the emotions were like, granted, it's camp, so I have to remember like it's a bit melodramatic and it will be over the top. It went from like 0 to 100 very quickly, and I was like, oh, okay, how did we get here? I don't think it was as jarring as watching Anyone But You. I tried to watch it, guys, in the cinema. I had to walk out. Not because I didn't enjoy it necessarily, but more because I was fucking confused how to feel. And I was just there the entire time being like, how did we get from, oh, we're like made for each other to I fucking want to throw you off this cliff? How did we get here? And this is what this movie slightly felt like at moments. I was like, how did we get here? Like, there was some things I was like, okay, that makes sense, but other things I was like, okay, it doesn't make sense for other things. Oh, I love that they broke the full 4. That was hilarious. I loved how much time they did that and were like very aware of themselves. Also, I love the Lindsay Lohan cameo. I was like, yes, bitch! She's stunning. Also, another thing about the movie, I just thought this was hilarious more than anything else. The amount of e.l.f. product placements. Is it a YouTube ad? This video is sponsored by e.l.f. It was funny. It was really funny, I will give them. The one with Samson though, I actually thought was pretty smart. The reason why I thought so is because Katie's not a good character. If you actually watch the movie, in my opinion, Katie's the actual villain. And so, I didn't know this, but Apple has such a key thing with their reputation to the point they will not give characters who are bad or evil or not good iPhones because it will then ruin the reputation of the iPhone. So, her having a Samson, I was like, okay, I see you. But also, we love a sponsored ad. Yeah, that was a bit dumb. I don't get why they did that, but I just thought that was hilarious in general. And overall, it was just campy fun. Like, I can't really say anything else. Like, I feel like if you hate the movie, it's just like, do you like fun or were you just expecting the same movie again? Now let's finally get onto the costuming. We're gonna break down each character bit by bit, and we're gonna first start off with the plastics, the main girls. And we're gonna first start off with actually my favorite costuming of the movie and who I thought was the best dress, Karen. I wrote down notes and I went really into this. Even the first time watching this, I was like, oh, let me like microanalyze the costuming. I realized because this movie is so heavily reliant on TikTok and social media and stuff like that because we're in a social media generation, I kind of came to the conclusion that everyone almost fitted an aesthetic, or at least the plastics do. They fit like a core. Granted, this probably was styled and like filmed and everything either early 2023 or 2022. So is it completely up to date? No, like you don't see anyone walking around like a coquette aesthetic or like ballet core or anything like that, which I think could have been really smart if they did that. However, it's still relevant and I don't think it looks completely out of date. Like I still think if someone wore that now, you'd be like, oh, that's cute. So for Karen, I put her as the soft girl. And I noticed she had a very soft pastel color scheme, which let me get my Art by Midnight on and explain why I think this is important. Girl, if you're watching this, hi, big fan. But with Karen, I noticed that she wore basically pastel colors a lot. So lilacs, pale blues, pink, pastel pink, like this kind of shade, was her main color. Even like buttery yellow, like butterscotch yellow. And the reason why I think this is important is because it represents who she is as a character, which is soft, a bit ditzy, let's not deny, but like has a very good heart. Like, you've never really seen Karen be a bitch in the movie. She's just there for a good time. She's very like sweet, good-hearted, and the good-heartedness comes from the scene where the only one text that Katie gets is from Karen, which is like, "Do not worry, I'm still your friend," or something like that, which I was like, my girl. And she just has such a good heart, and she's just very sweet, and I love her. I also think it works really well with the aesthetic they chose, because it's again the soft girl, and obviously with a soft girl you gotta go with a soft color palette. And part of her styling I noticed that was really key was the fact of like chunky cardigans, like especially when Regina comes back in the tracksuit set, she wears like a chunky knitted cardigan, and I was like, I need that in my life. She often wears like mini skirts, the tie-up cardigans, you know, the ones that were like really popular. Puffball sleeve. She actually wore like a puff sleeve top, like a milkmaid top as well. I will say another element that's quite key is that she does also wear very tight tops here and clothes that really show off her cleavage, because in the movie there is a point that says, oh, she slept with 11 guys, and they kind of make reference to it. For example, like, I forgot the song name they do in the new one, but I think the Jingle Bell Dance, she actually has her bra showing because she's like, it's a look. And then when Regina makes a comment, oh, look that you've like slept with 11 people, slut shaming. But probably to her, she just thinks it's cute. And also for Halloween, that she actually wears something that resembles more of a nightgown, like a nightie, which I actually really like. I think that was a good costume change. Instead of going for like a black mini dress, going for the like the pink strawberry-esque, more floaty kind of baby doll dress. I really liked that. I thought that was such a good choice, and I think also represents more of the innocence that Karen has, because to me, Karen's probably the most innocent character. Again, she's just here for a good time. To me, a lot of Karen's styling almost reminded me of like Cassie from Euphoria. More season 1 than season 2, but there's obviously like differences between them both, where they both still have that like sweetness and innocence and again that soft kind of girl aesthetic. But however, Cassie is often more sexualized because of it. A, because of her character believing, I think in a way that like her body and her sexuality can be used to have men love her, because she's been taught that that's the only way that men will love you. Secondly, it's because of Sam Levinson being weird. And 3, because of the genre of Euphoria, it's a lot more melodramatic, it's a lot more serious, and while they do have color, I do think it's not as like bright and fun. Versus with Karen's a lot more fun, it's a lot more soft, a lot more playful, and a lot more expressive of her personality. And I think that's the obviously distinction. A, because it's a musical, but B, because the character isn't hyper-sexualized compared to Cassie from Euphoria. This is just who she is, and she wants to express it like this. But my favorite costume of Karen's, it's between either the confrontation scene with the chunky cardigan or what she wore, I think it's Homecoming, where she wears like the dress with the fucking pearls. The pearls, bitch. It looked so good. It looked rich. It looked expensive. It looked luxurious. And it like fitted her really well. It still showed her main bit, which was the cleavage, which I think will play definitely a key part into the suggestions that I have for costuming. It just looked so beautiful on her. Yeah, it was maybe like a stronger shoulder, but her hair was all up. Her hair was always in tasseled curls. It was never straight. I think it just represents this almost like sweetness, this like sugariness. And to me, that's why I loved her costuming, because that was her as a character. And like that it didn't change dramatically. It's still very much her. One note I would like to say I would have loved to added for Karen, and this isn't just Karen, but like everyone, is that I wish they added more fucking shoe options, because every time I saw them in trainers, I was like, girl, especially for some of them, it would have worked really well if they'd gone for different shoe options. And I think for Karen, the one idea I had, which I think would have been a little bit more of an updated look, would have been cowboy boots, particularly because cowboy boots were fucking everywhere, to a point where I have them. I do need to clean them because I did wear them on Money Ground for New Year's. Next time we got around to it. I feel like cowboy boots and like a mini dress and then like a chunky cardigan with like bows in her hair, like in like the pigtails with like bows, or even like buns and bows. That would have been so cute. And it still would have been very trendy, of course, with like the bows. But I think it would have just been like a perfect, like, sweet addition to her look. To me, I think that would have just been like a really nice way just to play a bit more and make it a bit more playful. Particularly because she's just there vibing. So I feel like you can have a bit more fun with her. I also would have really liked it, and I don't get why they didn't do this more. Lingerie or like sleepwear as outerwear. Like slip dresses and camis and stuff like that. I feel like particularly for Karen would have made a lot more sense, particularly if she is wearing a bra out, like wanting to show her bra. Yeah, I will say the shapes and everything made her look kind of like it girly, and I kind of vibe with it. But I would have been really cool to see in like a slip dress, but was still with her cleavage showing, and I don't know, within like a cardigan. I just think that would have been such a cute touch. Granted, I also noticed this with everyone is that I think they tried to keep it so they wouldn't get dress coded, which I was like, interesting. I feel like that's not necessary, but also pop off queen. I feel like this is the one where like I feel like no one's gonna care if it's dress coded or not. I guess they just wanted a bit more realism for a musical, but if they were gonna make it dress coded, you still could do like a cardigan or something like that. I don't know, I just really like the idea of that, and I think it would have been really cute. That's my only thing about Karen. She was my favorite, and Aventika is an it girl quality to me. You know I'm sexy. Oh, don't call, just text me. Next, we're gonna build it up a little bit. I'm gonna go to Gretchen, played by Bebe Wood, who plays Lake in Love Victor. So I was a bit more like, oh, I know she's gonna do well, but she did good. I noticed for Gretchen, she actually dressed a little bit more preppy. I almost said like feminine preppy, like almost wanting to be Blair Waldorf a little bit, but like 21st century. So I can probably predict they probably took a lot of inspiration, probably mixing in a little bit of soft girl with like academia, which they could have just gone with romantic academia, honestly. So I noticed that her main color was brown, and particularly there's like almost like reddish toned brown, like a very warm brown, which brown, if you look at color psychology, can often mean like trusting and warm and grounded as who you are, which is ironic because Gretchen's character is one of the most insecure people, like out of everyone, and the most frantic, like compared to everyone else in the musical. It's interesting that they put her there. I do just think it was also partly just to fit the aesthetic. I also noticed that she wore a lot of like sweater vests, like that was a really key element. Headbands, mini skirts, cardigans as tops, and also a lot of like houndstooth. Like I remember when they were gonna go for the party, she wore like a lace top and like a houndstooth corset, which I actually thought was pretty cool styling. And also again, her homecoming dress, that looked like a House of CB dress, baby. Thought it looked incredible on her. Could have done with some jewelry, could have done with something up here, but I loved it. She looked amazing. I feel like it, like in some senses, it kind of makes sense to have this kind of like feminine, like academia kind of aesthetic for her, because again, as someone who's so insecure, you want to perceive that like you're kind of everything, and also that you're queen bee. So again, having the references to like Blair Waldorf makes sense, almost like having the preppiness element. I think that's reason number one, and also reason number two, because if you're trying to represent I am everything to everyone, I feel like being preppy makes the most sense, as in like you're trying to represent that I'm smart, but I'm popular, I know everything about everyone, she knows everyone's secrets. Preppiness aesthetic, because preppy people know a lot, and so obviously that aesthetic makes sense, and I actually don't think she should have changed it. I actually really like the aesthetic with her, and I think both the soft girl and then the preppy girly aesthetic work really well together as like a friendship duo. Immediate trope of like dumb blonde and intelligent brunette or something like that. However, the one note I will say is that Gretchen's very insecure, and they really make a big factor of this in the movie, like to the point where she's doing like squats and like working out pretty often, and then literally has a song about her insecurities and about how Regina makes her feel insecure. So to me, it's almost confusing why she has the ability to like show her arms and wear things that show off her body more versus Regina, and we'll get onto that because one of my main problems with Regina's styling. Anyway, so I was like, that's weird, that's interesting. And also I felt like there's still ways you can achieve that feminine preppy aesthetic but have it still represent insecurity. To me, I feel like the best thing with this would have been oversized blazers, and also you could have styled it as if it was like a dress with like a mini skirt underneath and like a knitted polo shirt. I feel like that would have been so fucking cute. It not only would have been like very preppy still, but also would have been very cool with like the headband and wearing like ballet flats. I feel like her would have made sense with ballet flats, like, you know, like Garni ballet flats. Not that saying she has to get those those ones exactly because I don't know what the costume budget was, but like something similar to that with like bows and ribbons. I feel like that would have worked really well. I think that would have been my one outfit I would have styled for her. Or just having more shirt elements, like blouses and shirts. I was really surprised they didn't really work with that. Or even just like a pinstripe nude shirt that you could like do up to here with then like unbutton here, 2 buttons done up in the middle to be a bit more sexy, and queen bee with then the bottom open like a mini skirt I think would have really worked. And again, ballet flats. I wish they just played with Gretchen a bit more, but I actually think they did an okay job. She's middle tier to me. I feel like they just could have done a little bit more, like just a bit more like inventive thinking, like just to really get creative with it. Especially some of it's a bit boring, and oh my god, I don't know what they did for her makeup in fucking Revenge Party. I was like, who did this to you, girl? And lastly for the plastic girlies, we have Queen Bee, Mother Regina George. Acting phenomenal, styling questionable. Now, I have kind of 2 mixed opinions. Not saying that it's like one's love, one's hate, but one's like, oh, I understand the idea and I kind of appreciate it, but I wish they did more with it. Which for Regina, she is the Instagram baddie. Watching the movie, I was like, oh yeah, I can see this for her. Because a lot of the styling for her was like tight tops and like corseted stuff with then like cargo trousers and parachute pants, which I was like, okay, that's quite smart. I feel like it kind of represents with also the baddie aesthetic being like, I'm the leader of the pack. Because oftentimes with Instagram baddie girls, they're often like intimidating. They're often like, they look like a bit bitchy. They just look powerful, which is why I think it works really well to have her be the leader of the pack and be a baddie. However, my 2 complaints with this. One, it then has very little cohesion between the 3 plastics altogether. A lot of Regina's dressing also has almost like sporty elements to it. So, and it's not as like hyper feminine as the other 2. And I think when you put them together doesn't work, which of course means foreshadowing that when Katie becomes Queen Bee and she fits in more with the other 2 versus it having that like leader dichotomy or like that leader structure, it ends up working a lot more better, and that could be done on purpose. But however, you're also trying to convince me that she's Queen Bee of the whole school. So like, eh. And secondly, which is my other pet peeve, why are they always covering fucking Renee's arms and Renee's legs? I don't get it. I think it's quite annoying because I'm like, again, she's supposed to be Queen Bee. I think particularly she's trying to be the it girl. Like people are trying to be like, what's she wearing? What's she doing this? What's she doing that? And she ends up having the simplest styling, like, and the most covered styling is a bit like, ugh. Like it really doesn't come off very well to me. And I'm a bit like, I'm more just like disappointed that they just didn't go more ham with Renee, particularly because I feel like Renee's actual style outside the movie is so much more better at being leader of the pack-esque and being bitchy mean girl and even a bit more like baddie. I feel like they could have really just worked with Renee's style, and particularly her more glamorous style with like blazer corset kind of thing. Saying that's not me saying that I want them to dress Regina like Renee. No, that's not me saying at all. It's more just me highlighting the fact that like, especially in Renee's like more glamorous wear, they really like embrace what she's got, and they really like, I don't know, just kind of like, I want to say like highlight her assets. She looks so good and sexy and powerful, and especially the beginning scene when we first meet Regina, they're literally talking about her boobs. These are real. We don't highlight her chest, despite her having a chest. I don't know, it felt really weird for a character you're trying to perceive me as sexy, cool, and powerful. We barely like embraced her body. We more like hid it with baggy trousers and covering her top. I don't know, it gave me boring, and the only element that they did this with corseting. And yeah, that's a good start, but I feel like they could have added more to it. And while we're here, another problem I have with a lot of Regina's costuming is that unfortunately it looks not as expensive or luxurious compared to the other 2 girls. I get it, you want to try and be attainable in one way, sure, but at the same time, you have literally Damien wearing a Comme des Garçons long sleeve top. So we can get out of that. And also Regina is supposed to be rich, so why does she look so
cheap and not expensive. And I think it's particularly, again, because a lot of her clothing is so basic and so attainable, but to the fact of like, we could all get it and we could all be her, versus I think with the other two where they have such a personal style, and when they go for their dressed up moment, it looks like they put money into it. When Regina has her dressed up gowns, they don't look expensive. They look okay. Like, they look good on her. Again, it's Renee. She looks good in everything. But they're not giving expensive. They're not giving quality. They're not giving luxurious, despite her living in a freaking mansion with the dream Pinterest bedroom. You get me? It's like we're missing something. The corseting should have been used on Regina's homecoming and glamorous dresses, as well as her everyday wear. We should have had stuff that's a bit more structured and stuff that's a bit more heightened and elevated, powerful, not stuff that's so attainable to the fact that like I could buy it going shopping in Bershka.
Best costume of Regina, 1000% the burn book scene. Like when she like drops the burn book and fucking the girls are going crazy. I love it. Firstly, because she looks absolutely incredible. Like the cut at the top with the leather trousers and the boots. I feel like the styling for that made her look so powerful, and that's what I think works really well, is that this ultimately is the last straw, and it's like, you cannot do anything with me. Also foreshadows to the beginning of the movie where she wears the all leather set, which I actually didn't mind. I feel like leather was quite a fun detail with her. It just works as like, this is your last laugh because I'm coming back to fight. You get me? Like I love it. And also with the blue bra, I was like, that's such a sneaky detail to represent like, actually like she thinks she does, but actually Katie's the one on top. Genius. I was like, that's a smart costume detail. And also the Halloween costume, I loved it. Firstly, because we finally got some skin off Renee. She's supposed to look expensive and rich, and this was giving like, I'm gonna make this costume like 5 months before Halloween. Like I got someone else to make it for me. The wings looked good, the dress looked good, the hair was okay. The more I thought about it, the more I actually loved it, because she's an angel. So if she's an angels represent oftentimes like innocence and purity and goodness of the heart and everything like that. And so that's very opposite to her character. And in the scene of the Halloween scene in particular, she's pretending to be an angel to two people, Aaron and Katie, when in reality, Gretchen sees she's not an angel. I loved it. And also then with her manipulating everything and saying this is a performance, and it just worked so well. And especially with the elements of the gold thrown in there, I loved it. I actually loved it. Worst costume was those fucking neon green cargo parachute trousers. What the fuck was that? And also what she wore when she was taking the kelp bars. So fucking boring. I wish they just did more with her, like showing skin and whatever, because I feel like even for realism, like you still can show skin. It just let me down a lot. And yeah, I get that she's supposed to be a little bit insecure, but she's not supposed to be so insecure to the point where she covers up. Gretchen would have been more that. Regina should have not been that. So I was trying to think for her costuming, and I couldn't think of an outfit necessarily, but I actually thought of a couple of things that would have worked really well. And one of them is the spiral skims dress. You know the one I'm talking about, the one that's all black. Because not only is Regina's color in the movie black, which actually I thought was pretty good. I thought that worked really well because it's representing like evilness, darkness, power, and I thought that worked really, really well. Like, and I think this would have been such a good way of like covering her up but still showing off her body. And I feel like you could have this like later on. I don't know how I would have styled it though. That's the only thing I can't think of. However, I feel like that would have been a really good touch. Have the body aesthetic, but just play with more femininity. I feel like they really kept Regina very safe and very boring, and I wish they more kind of girlified her style a little bit more, like made a bit more feminine, because it would have made her still look like a queen bee. And stick to the baddie element, I think totally, of course. I've even seen someone suggest like they kind of take inspiration from Maddie from Euphoria and do loads of matching sets, which honestly that would have been such a cute hit, in my opinion, like a matching set, because it also shows coordination and strategicness and power because the matching set together. Or even just with the corset, like kind of taking inspiration from like a main pop girly, even doing like a corset with like a mini skirt. But I actually would have loved it if she like defied the dress code and then proven to like win over like the teacher or something that makes her just seem incredibly like powerful even to teachers that she cannot be stopped. That would have been so fucking cool as a thingy. These are just running ideas I have in my head, but I just wish they did a little bit more, like a little bit more with Miss Regina George. Now, I don't know what to call the next three characters, but the anti-plastics? I guess. One of them becomes a plastic. Let's just go on to her because she got on my fucking nerves. Katie, the bitch. With her styling, her main color was blue, and blue for color psychology, let's get into this. With blue, it can either mean security, trust, loyalty, and responsibility, girl, where, but also can represent confidence, peace, honesty, and reliability. Maybe like honesty. I do feel like she's the most honest, and I think trustworthy, but it can be conservative, passive, which this girl is fucking passive. That's what's like, she's very like passive aggressive and predictable. Can also represent like sad, aloof, and just impersonal, which I think impersonal is a really good one. With her, particularly at the beginning, she's the new kid in town, so obviously I'm not expecting her doing from researching with her mum into school. She's not gonna suddenly be like, yeah, I'm a fashion girl. Of course, I do also notice that they did reference the original movie with the blue checkered shirt. Nice touch. I kind of have noticed that like there's kind of two different styles of Katie, which is before she takes over Regina and after she takes over Regina. So like before, I don't really have any notes to say. It's just like jeans, denim, t-shirt, lots of stripes, sports jersey, pretty basic, like ringer tees. Anytime she dresses a bit more feminine, it's often in a neutral color palette, like, and there's always an element of denim in there. It almost to me represents just ordinariness. She's not a standout. She's very untrendy in a bit fully. She's just there. And to me, at the beginning of the movie, it makes sense. It more just represents she feels out of place, particularly when you have all these other characters with such loud, expressive styles. Which, fair, it works. I think it works very well in my opinion, and does an excellent job of just showing that she's an outsider. I have not really any complaints with that. However, when she then takes over Regina, I still wouldn't say there's any personality to her clothing. It's literally just like, it's just there. It's more like sexy, but it's not like the other ones that you can tell they're dressing because of a certain way. It's just almost like she's just dressing to be pretty, and that's it. And again, to please her man Aaron. I feel like blue can also represent just like so much, and I think with other pop culture examples of blue just being such a prominent color like Cinderella or 1989, it has so much significance. Oh, even the old Mean Girls, it having a significance. And this just not having any for her costuming, it was fine. It's just more like, this is the color I'm wearing because this is my character, which is fine. It's obviously a comfort color and what she's grounds in. And I think also blue can represent intelligence and groundedness as well because she's obviously really smart. I just don't really have much to say about her other style. It's like, just very much like base level pretty girl, like mini skirts, still denim. So it's not that she's lost herself either. Like mini skirts, denim. If she's wearing like a jumper, it'll be with like white underneath, again, white, purity, innocence, stuff like that. Like, it's not really like, again, this standing out to me. The reason why I have quite a problem with this is because there's no middle style. There's no in between, and when she takes over Regina, that should have been the middle style. In the movie, really the last dress where she is kind of Queen Bee, which is at her party while her mom's away. When Aaron goes, oh, I really like the costume, I mean dress. That was such a good thing to represent she's not being herself, she's being a caricature. I loved that. That was such a sneaky line, but I think it worked so well. But the problem is, again, we don't get this like transition into darkness, Queen Bee-ness. We just get 0 to 100. And to me, I think that's incredibly disappointing because I think if they had like a middle bit where they actually made her over and that was the look, and then after she takes over Regina, she then like loses the color blue, let's just say, and goes with every other color. That would have been so much more smart because that actually shows that she's lost who she is. She doesn't know who she is anymore and she believes she is a plastic. I should have been a costume designer. Also, the other reason why I don't really like it is because there's not really a build up to that scene. Like, Regina's fucking judgy about everyone's clothing. You really think she's gonna let Katie in with that basic ass bitch clothing? You think? I feel like what would have been a really good way to combat that is a makeover scene to like be like, oh my god, like we're just gonna get a makeover on you. Janice and Damien scene is like, who are you? And really work with that. It's like, oh, Regina just gave me a makeover. It's like, this isn't you. Remember that. Like, it would have been so cool if Janice was the one to remind her like, this isn't who you are. this isn't you, kind of reinstating that. I think that would have been a really smart way to bring costuming into the storyline. I don't really have like a favorite costume, honestly, for Katie. So if I was gonna do her, I would actually do one for the queen bee. And I would have just said, fuck the blue and fuck the denim. We are gonna put you in something that's very opposite. Maybe referencing even someone else's style. So I think for me, the one thing I would have gone with, I think the first thing that's coming to my head, honestly, which I feel like would have worked, which this is very random, but like hear me out. Bomber jacket, like the leather bomber jacket with the bows on it, which I saved because I actually want this. With then like a, you know how like it was really popular to have like the tops with like the lace trim and the bow? Maybe one of them. I think again, this like sweet girl, innocent image, like I'm still the new girl with the bow, but like actually like you're really not. In like the tight fitting with then like, I think like a mini skirt, but like have it as like a mini pleated skirt. Ooh, wait. I would have been so cute with a pair of knee-high boots. Bitch, that would be the outfit as Queen Bee. And I feel like you could even, again, get Damien to comment and be like, okay, girl, what the fuck is this? This isn't who you are. Oh my god, I would have fucking killed the costume department. So that's my outfit for Katie. Make your notes what you want, but I think I fucking killed it. Okay, now talking about Damien, let's get on to Damien. And I feel like with Damien, I kind of titled his style as basic gay. A lot of this is like the basic gay pack for like 2022, 2023. Funky cardigans and like fleece wear with like the zip here with like buttons here with pearls, a lot of fun prints, a Comme des Garçons shirt. Like I know it sounds like okay money, and then they put him in like a H&M cardigan. Oh girl, and cardigans and color. I'm so glad they put him in color. I like that because it represents his vibrant personality and his like creativity, but in a way that's very different to Janice, and I'll get on to Janice next. I liked it. I was like, I'm glad they played a little bit with his styling. I'm glad they didn't just sit there and was like, well, he's a plus size boy and he's a background character, we'll leave him plain. I'm glad they actually did something, because I noticed in the original they left Damien fucking plain, and so this one I'm glad they added a style. However, I wish they also brought it up a little bit and gave him a personal style. I think particularly because there are so many cool queer but also plus size men who have personal style, and I was like, you can really see that and work with it. And I think that's a good base. Like I feel like the majority of the costumes have there's good bones to start off with. I just need them to develop it. And with Damien, there's this one guy that I follow, we're like mutuals, and I love the way he dresses, and I really wish they took inspiration from him. A lot of the stuff he wears is like boxy cropped, and I was like, that's it. I'm not saying that they have to like feminize him to the point of like he has to come in like a corset and like a dress and a crop top. They don't have to do that, and I'm not expecting them to do that either, but like a boxy crop would have been such a cool way, because it still looks quite honestly masculine, and actually there's a lot of straight men who are wearing boxy crop tees I think look cool. But obviously in high school, that's obviously not, that wouldn't hit very well. So it would have been really cool to have him do that, like maybe a boxy crop cardigan with like a pearl necklace, a t-shirt, and then instead of wearing black jeans, because that's all they give him for trousers, maybe the ones I'm wearing today, I'll show you. These are like wider leg, like pinstripe trousers. I feel like that would have worked really well. Not only are they like super trendy and they look good, but also they just add an elevation to then black jeans. I wish they just played a bit more with Damien, and in terms of like his bottoms, his trousers, his accessories. I think because some of it does come off as a bit like plain and a bit basic and a bit like, okay, you have the loud shirt, that's all we need to do. And it's like, no, I think you could add a bit more. I think another outfit I would have loved to see on Damien almost would have been like, maybe the trousers be like the standout point. However, I will say I did like that they put him in an actual suit and it was like a bit more of a standout suit. I really like that, because it's like, it's not super over the top and super in your face as much as like wearing a rainbow suit, but I do really like that they still had like a print on it and it actually fit him and it looked really good on him. So I'm glad they did like suiting as well. Next character, we have to do her, Miss Janice. Now, again, Janice, good bones, babe. She's kind of like the Regina as well, as they both wear really dark colors. One of their signature colors is black. However, Janice's other signature color too is purple and red. With this, I think this is incredibly important because purple represents artistic and mystery, as in they're like mysterious, they're creative, and they're a free thinker, which Janice is, despite being a menace and chaos. But also red can represent loving and care and and unity, but also anger and pain. And obviously you can tell if Regina's effect on Janice is still there, shows that she's in a lot of pain. The one bit I loved about Janice's costume is the fucking makeup. I love that they did loads of like graphic liners and glitter and stuff like that for Janice. I loved it, and I actually think was such a smart point, again, to represent her artistic side. And even with the revenge party, the makeup she had there, I was like, So honestly, I'm so glad that they gave Janice such cool makeup. I wish they also embraced like the really short, like slicked, dyed hair. I also kind of wish, because some of it was kind of giving low-key like 2018 art hoe aesthetic. I wish they just kind of embraced androgyny more on her, a little bit more. I feel like that would have been so sick. So the outfit that I have in mind for Miss Janice actually would have been, you remember when it was last year, the maxi skirts but with loads of different checks, like patchwork, either it's just different forms of check or boxes. I think that would have worked so sick as a maxi skirt, because honestly I was also surprised no one wore a maxi skirt. Like, I really wish they like did that with like an oversized graphic t-shirt but like tucked into one side. I feel like that would have been so cool. You could still stick with like the mesh thing underneath. I don't think they should have. I think they should have just kept it without. And then with like her hair done up in like a new style and graphic makeup with a pair of Dr. Martens. I'm so annoyed they never gave the girl Dr. Martens. If you're really talking about rebellious teenager, Dr. Martens are right there. I think that would have been such a cool element to do, like patchworking. They kind of did, but I wish they did it more, like patchworking and painting and DIY. However, I have to say, I like that they went for like a lighter purple for her prom look, and she took a girl. I was like, lesbians. And I like the lighter purple because it also can represent like revolution and peace in a way. Like, I'm coming to peace with who I am. So I just wish they played more with like the patchwork and layering and like more creative styling. Overall opinion on the costuming, to me, I feel like cute. It wasn't bad. I think I've definitely seen worst costuming in movies, and particularly from the genre and the audience that they're trying to appeal for. Like, yeah, is it Clueless quality? No. Again, they could have just done a little bit more. They could have played with stuff a bit more, and they could have just really kind of fully immersed us in the experience. However, I don't think it's bad. Like I said throughout this video, it has good bones, and when I mean good bones, I mean have very good bones. Like, you could easily work with this for like other costuming, and I like that it kind of updates the stereotypes that we think of when we think of a popular girl and the alt girl and stuff like that, because I've seen in movies that they really have not changed. They still kind of view it as in like 2012 aesthetic kind of way. I'm glad that they really like updated it and modernized it to fit the current audience. I really like that. I really liked also that it was kind of based off trends. I actually think I liked it a lot more. I think it worked really well, and I think made a lot of sense for the audience and stuff like that. But I just wish they went a bit more in. I wish they played a little bit more. I wish they experimented a little bit more. I wish they fucking allowed Renee to fucking show some skin. I wish they also experimented more with Damien. I wish they experimented more with Janice and didn't just stick to the confines of like, she must wear trousers because she's queer. And I feel like there are some things that just didn't make sense in it, but there are other things I absolutely adored from it. And I'm like, I will hands down say I love that. Conclusion of this video, good bones, just need updating. Mic drop, we done, thank you. I think that's the end of the video. I really hope you did enjoy the video because I love filming this. If you want me to analyze another movie's costumes, comment down below. I shall see you guys in 2 weeks for the next video. Love y'all, adios.